everybody, and welcome to the Diregentleman Channel. I'm Gunslinger Gus, the wranglinest writer in the whole dang West. That's spelled with an R after the W.
Rest.
Yeah, the rest. Because it's the rest of the place where you're gonna manifest your destiny.
Yeah.
Henry Galley couldn't make it today because he is off in Russia. He put himself into a medical coma and he's fighting the ghost of Dostoevsky to claim some ancient writer skills.
Everybody form a prayer circle for Henry. Just like focus your vibes really hard to help him out in the dreamscape.
Raise your hands to the sky and give your energy to Henry Galley.
Clap if you believe in Henry Galley.
He's got to spirit bomb those old Russian authors. They've had it too good for too long.
The monomyth dictates it.
Yes. So as you can probably tell, joining me today is...
Yeehaw, yippee-ki-yay, I'm rootin' shootin' Meg Tuten.
Yes. Masters in Animation, Meg Tuten,
yes.
Joining us once again.
I love that is how I get introduced, because it is the only thing I've ever done.
It's... To be fair, a master's degree in anything is something that, like, few people can lay claim to.
That's very true.
Like, I'm a goddamn bachelor's in English communications, so all I know is the written word. You paint on the canvas of motion and character.
I paint on the canvas of time.
Yes. So I was interested to be able to talk about this episode of Helluva Boss with you specifically, because it seems like we were both pretty positive on it.
Very positive on this episode. I thought it was a great one.
Yeah, this is one of those episodes where, like, it's just the characters on, like, a ranch, and they get to, like, reintroduce themselves to Millie's parents, who are these new characters we're just meeting, and it's all this very organic way to, like, reestablish the relationships, what their general personalities are like, and just see the characters, like, relax for the first half of this in a way that we haven't gotten to see them do.
It's a great, like, classic sitcom plot of, like, oh no, I'm meeting the parents for the first time. Oh, I'm not man enough for my father-in-law, you know?
Yeah, like, oh my god. As someone who, like, my last big committed relationship was with someone who was from, like, a rural rough and tumble area, and let me tell you, it's the same thing. You get out there and you're just like, oh boy, I don't know if my, like, city boy ways are gonna go over well with the parents.
I mean, it's just always awkward to meet your partner's parents.
Exactly, especially when there's, like, a clash of cultures. And with this, we also get, like, the bit of, like, hellish world building where they're literally going to, like, the layer of wrath, because this works on Dante's Inferno rules.
There was a lot of interesting world building in this episode, and, like, normally I don't care about the Spindlehorse extended universe world building because I complain about this a lot, but, like, I have very little interest in, like, the goings-on of heaven and hell in fiction. I refer to that broadly as angel-devil stuff, and I don't like it. I find it very boring for some reason, and I can't really put my finger on why it's boring to me. But, like, normally, like, as soon as, like, I watched Supernatural for, like, 2 seasons, and then when like, the angel-devil stuff started to outnumber the Monster of the Week episodes, I was like, okay, I'm switching off. I don't like the show anymore.
Yeah, I think I have similar frustrations with very dense lore, but I think that especially, it goes double for when it's, like, not part of the show. Like, I don't need to, like, read wikis and go into the minutia of, like, things that aren't brought up.
The Kivuakians are 7 billion years old. And
oh my god! I can't believe you just brought up
fucking coming for Fennesmig.
Oh, whenever I hear about Kivuakia, it gets me in the mood to decapitate.
Fills me with the urge to decapitate.
Holy shit. Well, that's...
In the words of Dan Olson, cringe. This is cringe. That's the only word for it. This is embarrassing.
Well, that's gonna go in the edit, and I'm just gonna put Lucy Lacemaker next to Angel Dust, and people can just appreciate how... these character designs are too similar.
Lucy Lacemaker is infinitely worse. As I've said, Fenna is a very talented 3D modeler and renderer and, like, lighting artist. So all of his characters very much do look like they are in the real world interacting with real things, but I hate to look at them. They are hideous. It's similar to the Michael Bay Transformers. This is very good like technical skill and animation, but dog shit character design. I truly believe this is a real thing, but I hate to see it, and it's bad.
Well, you heard it from the animator themselves. It is truly a technical marvel, but a bit of a crime.
A bit of a art crime.
What I was gonna say, in regards to Helluva Boss's world building, what I do like is that, like, whenever we've gotten more details, like, about what the books do, about, like, hellhounds, about, like, human disguises, it's always been directly applicable to the story being told in any given episode.
Yeah, and it really enriches the characters a lot, and it enriches the world around them, and it's world building that, like, moves the story forwards. In episode 2, we sort of introduced to the idea of like the hell hierarchies. The sort of lower class demons live on the lower rings of hell, and that they have like their own like bootleg versions of things in the higher rings. I found that very fun. And in this one, we're introduced to like that whatever kind of imp Moxie and Millie are, and I don't know, Blitz kind of looks like he's the same species as them, but Stryker definitely doesn't. They are from the Wrath Circle. That's a fun little detail. At first, I don't know if you thought this as well, but like I sort of didn't clock that all of these particular imps were supposed to be from the same ring of hell. So when Millie is like, oh yeah, well, we'll go stay with my parents who live in the Wrath ring, they are sort of like talking about like manly stuff with Moxie. I was like, oh, is Moxie from the Pride ring?
Yeah.
Because Moxie's like, the joke with Millie is that she's like really like hot-headed and like a bit of a brawler. And the joke with Moxie is that he's really up himself. So I was like, is he like a Pride imp and then she's a Wrath imp? And does that like create a class divide? And that, I feel like that could have been fun if they'd run with that, but like I like what they can do what they want. It's not my show.
Exactly. I was initially confused a little bit at first, seeing as like Moxie being from Wrath, just not because of like anything to do with like imp terminology or where they come from, but just that like he doesn't have a southern accent and it seems like Wrath is just the South. So I was a little confused with regards to that.
I mean, I was born in North Carolina. I don't have a southern accent. My accent is from nowhere. It's a bullshit fake Meg accent.
It's true. And like, I'm up in New England and you don't hear me going like, I gotta get the lobster. I gotta go over to the bar and get the fucking lobster. Yeah, I mean, it works for Moxie being someone who like, they don't really belong anywhere except with like this found family, and especially with Millie, who like is their partner. To the extent that like, you know, maybe Moxie's feelings of not belonging and not really like having any roots that he feels like are authentically his to claim, maybe that factors into his character arc throughout this episode.
I really liked the central conflict of this. It is just such like it's a stock plot, but it's one that's just like rife for like character interpretation and like jokes. So the center of it is that like this is Moxie meeting Millie's parents for the first time. You know, not feeling like he's man enough for these salt of the earth, rough and tumble like ranchers that Millie's family are. Then Stryker, who is the new ranch hand, voiced by Norman Reedus. He's such a fantastic character, but like he comes in and he's sort of the rival to Moxie in this episode because he's like, you know, he's super manly, he's rugged, you know, he comes in on this like flaming horse.
Yeah. He's so damn cool. He's really cool.
Yeah, and so, you know, Moxie like feels that his masculinity is being threatened, so he enters himself in this like triathlon where all of the imps are like climbing over
the pain games, like I believe they're called.
Yeah, the pain games. And like one of the running gags that just got me in this episode was that like Moxie keeps falling over into like puddles, and then a shark will come out and start attacking him.
I love when the shark jumps into the wrestling arena like
with
out.
like the just like bouncing off the top rope with like the wrestling bell like ding ding in the background. God, I love Stryker. He's such like a slimy, like he's a great, once again, great villains in Helluva Boss.
Yeah.
Because he's this like slimy, smooth talking like cowboy, and you know, he's just like, he wins over everybody immediately. Like, Blitz loves him, Millie loves him. Luna is indifferent to him, but, like, Luna's indifferent to everything.
As she should be.
Moxie's the only person who doesn't like him, and the other joke with that that's amazing is that, like, you know, when he gets crowned the winner of the Pain Games, Moxie and Millie are sitting next to each other in the stands, and Moxie goes, well, you know, maybe he's better at me than all this, you know, these, like, physical triathlon feats, but I'm better at him than a lot of things, I bet. I bet I'm better at him than singing, and, better at singing than him, and then
busts out a guitar.
Stryker pulls out a guitar and goes, I'd just like to sing this little song that I wrote just now about how I won.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the thing. So, Stryker is genuinely charming and interesting, and I think, as far as, like, the antagonists and villains that have happened so far, he definitely stakes his claim. Like, they've all pretty much been great, especially the way that he, like, pushes and challenges Blitz in the, like, latter half of this episode.
Yes.
In all of, like, the previous Helluva Boss reviews we've done on this channel, we've talked about how, like, Blitz is this guy who needs to prove himself, that he's, like, working against, like, all of the systems of hell, that he's this imp, like, but he's a king among imps, basically, that, like, is trying to work his way up, and Stryker is just like him in that regard.
Yeah, Stryker is what Blitz wants to be.
In many ways, maybe even what Blitz is if he just applied himself.
The big conflict of this episode is that, like, when Moxie goes back to the ranch, he sees, like, a mysterious pink glow coming from the bottom of, the door to the room where, Stryker is sleeping, and he opens it up and he sees this, like, this big, like, magical sniper rifle that can kill demons.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that, like, as Henry was saying to me earlier, that fixes one of the biggest, like, points of confusion in the Spindlehorse world building, which is, how do you kill demons in this universe? And, like, why does death mean anything to any character in this extended universe?
It's really
and the fact that we now,
answer.
like, it's established that there are weapons that can kill demons.
Yeah, and I like how Moxie even, like, brings up earlier in the episode, he's talking about how heaven technology was incorporated into, like, guns, and it made them, like, you know, more gunnier. That's, again, a great application of world building, because it's about guns, which is a thing that's a major focus of the show, and something Moxie would be an expert in.
Yeah, it's funny the difference between Moxie, because, like, Moxie is kind of, it's funny, Moxie's kind of like a gun nut. You know, he's very into guns, and then, you know, he's like a sharpshooter, he knows a lot about gun technology. And then Millie's family are like, nah, you gotta get in there and kill him with your bare hands. You know, that's the only honorable death in war.
They are like knife nuts. They are out there, like, stabbing and slashing.
They're fighters. You know, they're not, gun guys. And I just thought that was funny. I also love the implication that, like, the Wrath Ring is kind of always at war.
Yeah, and it makes sense, too.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I'm sure there's tons of, like, family feuds going on down here that have lasted for decades. Hundreds of years, even.
I loved the sister. There was that joke where she's like, only 9 of the 14 funerals that happened after last year's Pain Games were my fault. Sally Mae kills way more people than I do, and you never get her in trouble. And then Sally Mae walks by, like, clearly dragging a body behind her, and she goes, you can't call it murder if they never found a body.
The thing is, we're informed so much about Millie's character, but I'm gonna be, like, a little bit harsh on this episode, because as much as, like, we're learning about Millie through this, and it's reinforcing stuff we, like, knew about her and giving, like, context to it, I really think there should have been a purely Millie story by now, you know?
Yeah. Because, like, Luna's been the focus of an episode, Blitz has been the focus of an episode, Stolas has been the focus of an episode, Moxie's been the focus of, like, a couple episodes now.
So we were due for, like, this one to be the Millie episode.
Yeah, we're due a Millie storyline. I don't know, maybe episode 6.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, because when it came to the conflict that's in this, like, this was a very obvious stock conflict for Moxie, and they did do the plot in the way you're supposed to do it, and they hit all the right beats. But we like knew from the start that like there was no way that Millie was going to like actually fall for Stryker in a romantic sense. The most challenging Stryker was to Moxie's position was when Blitz thought he was gonna like hire him and put him on the team.
Yeah.
Which would have made Moxie obsolete as like a worker. But Moxie's insecurities about his relationship are more better exemplified through the parents than they are through Stryker.
Well, I think it's just like a mix of things, you know?
Yeah, I do think Stryker is like his position in the narrative makes that plot work and also connects it well to the ongoing like stuff with Stolas and like Blitz's whole deal. Stryker is what brings it all together. I just think that Millie could have had more to do, and in a way, I almost feel like maybe there was potential for a more adversarial relationship between her and Stryker, because we've seen the like guy hits on Millie while like emasculating Moxie. We saw that in episode 2 in like Lululand with the like weird carny man who was like trying to like cheat.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, like so like we've seen this moment already and we've seen this plot already, and like I don't know, it was just too much recognition of the tropes for me, and it kind of took me out of that plot. It was only when we started getting like the stuff with Blitz later in the episode where I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now it's about the main character.
Okay. I had a very different, because I was kind of like just in it from the get-go. I was like, yeah, give me this fucking tropey plot. Give me this sitcom plot that I've seen in every... My brain is so small and does not produce dopamine. Just hit the button over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really loved the color palette in this episode. There was a lot of like soft, like kind of sunset glow effects on things, and the guns seemed to be shinier.
Yes! The guns were so
Which I
shiny.
thought was great. And there are a lot of shots that are in low light where you can see like all the demon characters like eyes glowing. I thought that was great. Like, and Stryker's character design is amazing.
He gives me so much like Mako from Long Gone Gulch vibes.
He's like a reptilian version of Mako from Long Gone Gulch. He's based on like a rattlesnake, because when he like moves around, when his tail like whips back and forth, it makes like rattlesnake noises, and he has these like big long golden snake fangs, and he's got scales and a very pointy head, and he has the kind of like swirly like cartoon hypnotist eyes that like the snake from the Jungle Book has.
I'm just so glad that it appears that he is going to be a recurring threat to the main cast and to Stolas in particular.
Yeah, because in the end it sort of reveals that the reason that he has this big demon killing gun is that he trying to assassinate Stolas, who is there to be the judge of the Harvest Festival. You know, he kind of talks Blitz. He's like, oh, we could take them all out. We could run this town, you know?
It's interesting, too, because, like, up until this point, the imps have been, like, you know, going after mortals, and because we know the show is set in, like, a concrete afterlife, mortal deaths really don't affect us. They don't really matter that much, because we know that the main setting is, like, where people go after they die. But when you start getting into, like, assassinating nobility and, like, changing the entire structure from the ground up, it's, like, this is, like, some serious stuff, and it shows, like, just how Imp's business, they're, like, doing, like, these hitman stuff, but, like, the real deal is these people who are taking out other people in hell.
Yeah. That's, like, the big shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's also sort of a suggestion that, like, they would lead, like, an imp revolution if they killed all of, like, the nobility of hell, which is a cool idea. And I don't know if that's what they're going to end up doing, because at the end, the very, like, tail end of the episode, you have Stryker on the phone to the person who ordered the hit, who is Stolas' wife.
That scene cracked me up. The fact that she is just talking about it on the phone at dinner.
Yeah, and she's at the dinner table with Octavia and Stolas right next to her.
I just don't care. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's completely in character for Stolas to hear that his wife was calling a hit on him, and for him to just be like, whatever.
Yeah, he's just like, fair enough.
You know, there's a reason why Stryker had to do the sniper thing, and that's because Stolas is super powerful. If he, like, tried to just, like, get him with a knife and go up to him, the way, like, you know, a Millie family member would, Stolas would do something to him. Freeze him, petrify him, zap him with a beam of lightning.
Like, just send him into space, feed him to one of his man-eating
Yeah,
plants.
like, demon nobility are no joke. Like, I think that's the one bit of world building we've gotten from, like, Has Been Hotel, is that, like, people that are on the level of, like, Alistair the Radio Demon, though I hate bringing his name into this show, but, like...
But he's not like a born and bred demon. He was a human at one point, right?
Well, that's the thing, but they say, like, Vaggie says, like, that his power challenges their, like, oldest and most powerful warlords, so, like... That's
maybe that's because he has one of these fucking weird guns.
Maybe it's because he draws his power from Bill Cipher from Gravity
Falls.
My
God! God damn it!
Oh,
get out!
Oh my god! Oh no!
But that's just a theory.
And thanks for watching.
Gus fucking dies.
Oh god. Yeah, so I'd say overall, this was a solid episode, and I really like what they did with characters and how it really, like, hammers in that, like, maybe this is about Blitz coming to terms with, like, what he really wants to do with himself, rather than, like, just kind of being aimlessly shooting in the dark to prove himself.
And maybe it's also gonna be, like, Blitz sort of becoming less reliant on Stolas.
Yeah!
Because in this, you also see that, like, Blitz is getting, like, very tired of Stolas at this point.
He's sick of this shit.
Yeah, he's, you know, the beginning of this episode is, like, Stolas is, like, tied up in bed with a ball gag around his neck, and Blitz is just sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he looks so bored.
It's like he's like, okay, I get it. You know, I'm in the Owl House. The Owl House is a big deal, but maybe I don't want to be around or even think about the Owl House that much anymore.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought was...
I love that you just refer to Stolas's domain as the Owl House every single time.
Well, I mean, of course, it is a house with owls
and there
in
are
it.
Owls in this house. There are owls in this house.
I'm just calling it like it is. I think that this episode also does a pretty good job showing that maybe there will be a, like, inevitable conflict between Moxie and Blitz, because Moxie essentially hated a guy who was, like, exactly like Blitz.
Yeah.
You know? His real conflict is, like, with his boss and with his own issues of insecurity, and ultimately those things are going to come to a head in some way or another. I just think it's really cool that, like, they get this moment of teaming up against Stryker, but who knows whether or not those guns will be pointed at each other
Yeah.
later.
I'm just gonna mention one other joke that I found very relatable is because Blitz pulls that whole, like, oh, maybe I will join you, and then in the end it's like, haha, it was a trick to get you distracted so that, like, Moxie can come in from behind. And then when they think they're, you know, completely boned, he, like, whistles for Luna at one point, and Luna, you just cut to Luna, her ears perk up for a second, and then she looks back at her phone and continues texting. And that I found very relatable because I have 2 Shiba Inu dogs, and that is how they react to hearing their names all the time. They will look at you and then resume whatever they were doing.
As much as, like, Luna isn't in the show as much as, like, she was in that one episode, I think they used her the perfect amount in this for stuff like that, where she's just so disinterested.
Yeah.
Like, the teenager who's just texting, and I know that, because the comments told me, I know she's technically not a teenager, but that's the vibe. Like, she's constantly
she's what,
disinterested.
18, 19?
Yeah, I guess, like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
You're a teenager until you're 25, to be quite honest.
You're a teenager until you're dead. Teenager for life!
Being an adult in this economy?
Yeah. Oh man, it reminds me of that other show about expanding surrounding
Oof.
things.
Oof. Could you say that it is growing around, mayhaps?
Yeah, mayhaps.
Yeah, I just posted a video essay about how much growing around by Mr. Enter is an existential nightmare.
It's really good, and like honestly, you should subscribe to Meg Tuten's YouTube channel.
Thank you. I have another video coming out soon. Maybe some animation.
Lots of interesting stuff.
Maybe I do that sometimes. Maybe I didn't waste my money on that degree.
No, you've got great animations coming out. I'm really excited
Yes.
for a few things, but I guess we'll talk about those when they're like released and when they're closer to being released.
Yeah, which should be soon.
Yes, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm maybe like 2 weeks away from finishing it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If that. Oh, also, I love the description for this episode. It's really funny. It's really, really funny. It is just, the description of it is just Blitz sees a horse. Things sure do happen.
Ah!
And that's really funny to me. Just Blitz. I love the running gag just that Blitz is obsessed with horses. Like, episode 4 was like, it was fine. The one joke that just ruined me from episode 4 is when he goes, well, too bad, because we get paid in advance and I've already spent all my money on this. And he pulls out this tiny little plastic horse with like weed leaves on it that says Mare O' Wanna.
Yeah, it's so good. I love that. I love that he ruined his relationship with Verosico with stupid horse lessons. I love that apparently, and this is like not canon to the show according to things that have happened to it, but apparently on the wiki it says that he once owned the spindle horse itself.
Oh my god. The spindle horse is a canon character.
Like that's a bit of trivia there. He owned a horse named Spindle that had various strange powers, and I hope that's real. I hope that's canon. I'm also just so proud of Blitz because he totally kicked Stryker's ass. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All in all, solid episode, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
Hell yeah, me too.
All right. I already got my dig at the Owl House earlier, so I'm not going to end it on that. I'm just going to say, if you like our content here on the Diregentleman Channel, you should like the video, subscribe, and also check out our show Less is Morgue, which is releasing its season finale.
The podcast where Ghost and a Ghoul talk about stuff, and despite what a lot of people have said in the comments of various of your videos, I actually voice Evelyn. I'm not Riley.
Yes!
I'm not
it's
the voice
true.
of Riley.
I am the voice of Evelyn.
Whoa, is that Evelyn Less's Morgue?
Oh shit, it's Evelyn Less's Morgue and she's got a gun.
Evelyn, how would you like to end the episode?
Be good people. Just be nice to everybody. Don't leave any mean comments or I'll come for your kneecaps.